All right, we have another successful client testimony here. We got Coach Kaylee on the line. All right, we're going to be tapping into a couple of different things that we've experienced working together. We're going to go over some wins. We're going to go over some lessons. We're going to go over a solid perspective that can give anybody that's watching when it comes to what to expect when working with the coach, what to expect in yourself when growing your business, and of course, why you guys should potentially join us here over at Content to Sales. So, Kaylee, how you doing today? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for asking. So let's jump right into it, right? Before you started working with me, what problems were you experiencing with your coaching business?
Ooh, I was experiencing some major just lack of direction and strategy.
Hmm.
I feel like from the last coaching program, it was like just get to work, do more. But I had no clear strategy and knowing really what I was doing and connecting the content to my ideal client, like all of those details that literally are the foundation. I was missing my foundation and I
Mm.
was just working and hustling and wishing and hoping that some of it would stick and some of it did, some of it didn't. And I couldn't figure out. So I was really missing that foundation. Like, what is my message and how do I convey that
Hmm.
as a thought leader in the space, not just someone who's cranking out content?
Tell us a little bit about what your coaching program is. Like, what are you helping? What problem are you helping solve for your ideal clients?
So I help dancers attract their next big opportunity in 90 days or less. Because before it was like, yeah, I help them with their mindset. I believe that through mindset clarity and movement and really being confident in their path, but it wasn't super tangible. And I remember the day that we nailed down, okay, what is it actually that's tangible, but also personal to the individual?
Yeah.
And when coach said that, I was like, that's exactly what it is. And also really nailing down the problem that my ideal client is most aware of, because they're not always aware of their confidence but it's like really like nailing the problem that's most aware to them. That was huge to just clarify.
Hold on real quick. Let's dial back into that. You're helping dancers attract their next big opportunity in their career, right? You have your process and how you help them. So you said that you were lacking that clarity and direction. You said that you knew that it seems like you had a messaging problem. So you were helping with
Yes.
mindset, but it was a little airy. It was still a little bit of like, what problem do you exactly solve? Number one is, how did you know that you had a messaging problem?
How did I know? Because my tagline was airy and even being clear, it was fluffy, like it sounds nice,
Yeah.
but it wasn't something that was strong and had a real like promise and made somebody go, okay, I know exactly what she does.
And what was happening inside of your business as a result of like the unclear messaging and sort of like that airy tagline? Like, how did you see it kind of upstream when we start to talk about call flow and quality of leads and
Yeah.
closes? What were you experiencing more upstream as a result of that?
I was experiencing much more people like, okay, what is it that you confusion? I
Mm.
think from the confusion of like, hey, what is this? What do you actually do? It was
That's
a
big.
mess.
That's big, right? Because we go and say money runs away from confusion. And that's a
Exactly.
big thing. And sometimes as coaches, we can have this beautiful package, beautiful product, this beautiful delivery. We know we can help people. However, what's stopping us from helping people is that confusion inside of our messaging. And we don't know, our audience can't raise their hand and say, hey, I would like you to help me with this challenge if they don't know how you can help or what you even help with. And so that's big. And so we came in, we got really sort of dialed in on your messaging. What do you feel like was the one thing that you've learned slash accomplished in this program that was like the tipping point for you when it comes to putting this all together and getting the results that you have right now?
I can't pick one thing, coach. Why are you trying to ask me one thing? Well, I think first was nailing down that program promise. This is what I do. And it literally made everything just connect. And being able to say that and even take that into the calls and be like, what is it that
Yep.
you want to accomplish? Tangibility. And I think
Yeah.
it made the client really be able to see it, get excited. It created clarity not only in my content, but through my sales process as well. And really adding value to what I bring, right? Instead of this, like, it's a whole other scope that I realize that is within it that
Yeah.
is marketable and that people are needing, which just ups the value even more.
100%. And it's funny that you say how all of it comes together because that's a lot of times that's kind of what it is. You have a couple of pieces,
Yes.
the foundations that you have. We got to get the system working together as opposed to kind of siloed off. For you, tell us a little bit about now that you have things together. Like, tell us what everybody wants to know. What results have you accomplished since working with us? Where are you at right now with your business? How do you feel about your business? Give us the spiel, give us a breakdown of your success here at Content Sales.
Well, I mean, this week alone has been a tipping point. Three clients in a row, like 3 yeses, 1, 2, 3. So 3 sales, 2 were paid in full, said, can I just pay you all now?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I guess so. And they're my dream clients. They're literally my dream clients. And I think for me too is making a switch from, because this is hard for me to do, go from friend mode and buddy, to coach and being able to establish that relationship in a right way. And that's something that I struggle with. And now I feel confident because, like you say, the real rapport is built in having those conversations and being able to lead it and shift their perspective ultimately.
100%. Speaking to you kind of being in friend mode, you're a friendly person. That's just like your personality. And now we have to sometimes feel like we have to switch that off. We're going to more sales conversations where we have to actually find problems, articulate solutions, and even give people the perspective and sometimes even that nudge to like believe in themselves and make an investment in themselves. What do you feel like is a skill that you learned sales wise that allowed you to be able to effectively bring in more clients in your sales conversations?
That's a good question. A few things. First of all, tonality, not being overly excited, really listening, but also learning to pattern interrupt to keep the conversation orderly. So you're not jumping all around, but you really have a clear understanding of the flow of things. And not only that, but why you're asking them. Before it was like, okay, this is the script. Next but it's so much more natural when you can just help them, when you can know exactly why you're asking the questions, and it flows. And it's quicker. Man, I was going for hours on end with these other calls before with you, but now it's like it's efficient. Get what you need without the fluff.
I love that because your sales process is derived to be able to properly and effectively identify a problem and propose a solution. Your prospect exchanges their money for the value of that solution. That's really what a sales conversation really is. So many coaches were taught to see sales as like either manipulative or combative or assumptive. And you got some coaches who like, that's my style because I want to make some money. You got some coaches that are like, that's not me. We start talking about the things like more tactical things like pattern interrupt and really just knowing, have a sales conversation overall. It's so important to be able to understand how you can understand the principles of sales, because the way Coach Kaylee sells may be different from the way that Coach Ty sells. We have different personalities, different tones. However, what matters most is the principles. You have the framework and you have the principles, because now we can boil down these principles. Sales conversations start to actually become real conversations as opposed to just reading a sales script and like trying to make something that is not real happen in a conversation. So that's important. And so we covered a little bit of ground here. We went from not having a clear offer and promise and fluffy messaging to now being able to attract your dream clients. We closed 3 clients alone this week, 2 paid in full. So, I mean, we're pacing in sales. One of the things I often talk about is understanding that there's no silver bullet to the coaching business. Like, yes, we came in, we gave you the strategy, taught and implemented you the content to sales formula. However, there were skill sets that you built inside of this program. And you had been in another program before this. I think it's important for coaches to understand, because I know that was one of the things, the potential sort of like pushbacks before joining with me. It's like, well, I've already kind of been in another program that I spent a lot of money on, and I didn't really get enough of what I needed to get to the next level. Sometimes we can get caught up in thinking that a coaching program is just going to save us. It's going to be the silver bullet, where in some cases, it's getting us to the next milestone, to the next level, and it's helping us build skill sets that are going to help us drive success long term. What was the reason that you decided that, even though you had already joined the coaching program, and not to say that you didn't get results, but you didn't really get where you wanted to be, what was sort of that one thing that made you take a chance here at Content to Sales?
I think everything that I saw, and just in speaking with you, it resonated. Your mission behind making impact and being a thought leader versus just getting the sale. It's much more than that. I had that phrase or word, thought leader. And so that being kind of your mission, it just was aligned. And it felt like this is the most important thing that I was missing ultimately. Yes, I gained other skills, but like, let's go back and hone to make it a little bit clearer and streamlined. So I just knew that's what I needed to really create that longevity and sense of clarity moving forward.
Absolutely. And even building on skills, because not only did you produce revenue a couple times over your investment into the program, which every coach wants to do. We all want to know, hey, if I invest in this program, I'm going to make my money plus
Yes.
more. So we've accomplished that goal. Am I right there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt like last time I was just trying to make it back. It was such a big thing that I felt this pressure of like, gotta make it back, gotta make it back, versus like, oh, I already made it and I already have a ton of value.
And to lastly build on that, let's speak into the value beyond just the money you made, because I think that's another limiting belief sometimes that we can have as coaches, especially when you had an initial experience where you did invest in a coaching program and it did feel like you were just trying to make the money back that you invested in the coaching program. That's been a reality for a lot of coaches. However, there does come a certain point where we have to look at the value of the way that we invest in coaches, in growth. Outside of the fact that you've invested and you've made your money back plus more, what do you feel like were the skill sets and the value that you were able to get inside of this program?
Number one is value articulation.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
So there was a moment where I remember sending you messages saying, oh, I don't know if this is working. I just don't know. And, or already going into a call projecting, thinking, oh, this person's XYZ, they're not going to be able to. And he's like, hold up, build the value. He goes, whether you have a $300 something or a $3,000, you need to be able to articulate the value. And that is helping them understand and be able to articulate the value that you bring, no matter what the price point. I think that was huge for me, is learning to articulate, be confident in that, learning to detach, which is still always a work in progress, and having a conversation and not being pushy. I mean, the whole mindset was so different than my previous sales experience. That's like challenging. It was like, what do you need to think about?
Which doesn't work anymore, by the way, for anybody.
It doesn't.
The market has evolved, and people, well, what do you need to think about? Or, I mean, you said that you wanted to make X, Y, do X, Y, Z, and now you say you don't know. Those type of pushy and manipulative sales tactics don't bring you qualified and aligned clients. And they typically, if you're really good at it, typically just result in a bunch of chargebacks anyway. And so let's be real, we're in 2020. The market has evolved. And so we need to be able to sell in a way that's more aligned with the type of business we want to run, which is working with clients that we like, that trust in themselves and trust in us, but also in a way that we're actually able to build value-driven relationships in our sales process. And so many people look at sales as just like a numbers game, and to an extent it is. However, we are working with people, and part of the work that we do is helping lead them to become better and develop skill sets and perspective to get a result that they want. Why would you want to do that with somebody who is so skeptical about working with you that you have to push them over the edge for them to make a small deposit? We don't want to do that. We want to have a more relationship-driven sales approach. And so value articulation, sales. Let's talk about your content. How do you feel about your content right now when you're putting it out? Tell me about what that experience is like for you now.
The biggest thing for me is when I'm creating, it's just so much more clear, and I'm excited to put it out, because the biggest thing that stuck with me recently that you've said is like getting them to take action. You can provide information, but knowing like I'm targeting this because what my client is thinking, like I want them to change the way that they think, right? I want them to take action.
Yeah.
And so that to me is exciting, and it positions you as more of a leader in your space versus just, oh, as another information, but just really knowing like what stage of the process your content is, and like being very strategic. And it's really cool to be able to, the way that we do lives, we're able to repurpose them into multiple pieces, and it's engaging. It's just exciting now, and you see the fruits on the other side.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, Kate, last question. I'm letting it go. For somebody who's a coach who may have been sort of where you were when you started, maybe they've invested in a coaching program before, maybe they did run into that challenge of feeling like they're just working really hard just to pay back the investment of the coaching program. Maybe if they do feel a little bit unclear in a message right now, what would you tell that coach who's on the fence about jumping into content to sales? What would you tell them if you had the chance to speak to them and let them know why they should potentially consider working with us?
Oh my goodness. Do it. Don't even hesitate. Just go for it, because you're going to get the results that you want. You're going to have so much more clarity going in and confidence in every part of the process. And there really is no way to fail. You'll learn so much. You'll just have so much value and results, which is what we're in it for. We're in it for the value, the results, the impact ultimately. So you have it all. It really is. Just go for it.
Well, Kaylee, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your experience. I appreciate you. I'm excited for your growth, and I'm excited for the impact that you're going to keep on making. And so keep on killing it, and we're going to tap in soon.
Thanks so much.